One Eye, Two Eyes, and Three Eyes. There was once a woman who had 3 daughters, the eldest of whom was called One Eye, because she only had one eye in the middle of her forehead, and the second Two Eyes, because she had 2 eyes like other folks, and the youngest Three Eyes, because she had 3 eyes. As Two Eyes saw, just as other human beings did, her sisters and her mother could not endure her. They said to her, "Thou with thy 2 eyes art no better than the common people. Thou dost not belong to us." They pushed her about and threw old clothes to her, and gave her nothing to eat but scraps, and did everything that they could to make her unhappy. It came to pass that Two Eyes had to go out into the fields and send to the goat, but she was still quite hungry because her sisters had given her so little to eat. So she sat down on a ridge and began to weep, and so bitterly that 2 streams ran down from her eyes. And once when she looked up in her grief, a woman was standing beside her, who said, "Why art thou weeping, little Two Eyes?" Two Eyes answered, "Have I not reason to weep when I have 2 eyes like other people, and my sisters and mother hate me for it, and push me from one corner to another, throw old clothes at me, and give me nothing to eat but scraps? Wipe away thy tears, Two Eyes, and I will tell thee something to stop thee ever suffering from hunger again. Just say to thy goat, 'Bleat, my little goat, bleat, cover the table with something to eat,' and then a clean, well-spread little table will stand before thee, with the most delicious food upon it, of which thou mayest eat as much as thou art inclined for, and when thou hast had enough, and hast no more need of the little table, just say, 'Bleat, bleat, my little goat, I pray,' and take the table away, and then it will vanish again from thy sight." Hereupon the wise woman departed. But Two Eyes thought, "I must instantly make a trial, and see if what she said is true, for I am hungry, too hungry."
So she tried it, and a little table, covered with a white cloth, was suddenly standing there.
And on it was a plate with a knife and fork, and a silver spoon, and the most delicious food. Two Eyes helped herself to some food, and enjoyed it. And when she was satisfied, she said the other rhyme, and immediately the little table and everything on it was gone. Two Eyes was quite glad and happy. Soon her sisters and her mother noticed that she wasn't eating the scraps that were left for her. They concluded that someone must be feeding her while she tended to the goat. So when Two Eyes set out the next time, One Eye went to her and said, "I will go with you to the pasture." But Two Eyes knew what was in One Eye's mind.
And when they sat in the pasture, Two Eyes said to One Eye, "Come, One Eye, I will sing something to you."
One Eye sat down and was tired with the unaccustomed walk in the heat of the sun, and the Two Eyes sang constantly, "One Eye wakest thou, One Eye sleepest thou," until One Eye shut her one eye and fell asleep. And as soon as Two Eyes saw that One Eye was fast asleep and could discover nothing, she said, "Bleat, my little goat, bleat, cover the table with something to eat," and seated herself at the table, and ate and drank until she was satisfied.
After banishing the table once more, Two Eyes now awakened One Eye, and they went home. And again Two Eyes let her little dish of scraps stand untouched. The next day Three Eyes went to Two Eyes and said, "I will go with you today." But Two Eyes knew what was in Three Eyes' mind. And when they sat together in the pasture, Two Eyes sang, "Three Eyes, are you waking?" But then, instead of singing, "Three Eyes, are you sleeping?" as she ought to have done, she thoughtlessly sang, "Two Eyes, are you sleeping?" She sang the whole song, saying, "Three Eyes, are you waking? 2 eyes, are you sleeping?" Then 2 of the eyes which Three Eyes had shut and fell asleep, but the third, as it had not been named in the song, did not sleep. It is true that Three Eyes shut it, but only in her cunning, to pretend it was asleep too, but it blinked and could see everything very well.
When Two Eyes thought that Three Eyes was fast asleep, she used her little charm, "Bleat, my little goat, bleat, cover the table with something to eat," and ate and drank as much as her heart desired, and then ordered the table to go away again. Then Two Eyes came to her, waked her, and said, "Have you been asleep, Three Eyes?" And they went home.
Two Eyes again did not eat, and Three Eyes said to the mother, "Now I know why that high-minded thing there does not eat." Then the envious mother cried at Two Eyes, "Dost thou want to fare better than we do? The desire shall pass away." And she fetched a butcher's knife, and thrust it into the heart of the goat, which fell down dead. Two Eyes went outside and wept. Suddenly the wise woman once more stood by her side and said, "Two Eyes, why art thou weeping?" "Have I not reason to weep?" she answered. The wise woman said, "Two Eyes, I will give thee a piece of good advice. Ask thy sister to give thee the entrails of the slaughtered goat, and bury them in the ground in front of the house, and thy fortune will be made." Then she vanished. Two Eyes did this, and the next morning, when they all awoke, and went to the house door, there stood a strangely magnificent tree with leaves of silver, and fruit of gold hanging among them, so that in all the wide world there was nothing more beautiful or precious. Mother said, "One Eye, get an apple for me." One Eye climbed the tree, but could not grasp an apple. Each time her hand held only air. Mother said, "Three Eyes, get an apple for me." Three Eyes climbed the tree, but fared no better than her sister. Mother then tried herself, but she could also not grab an apple. So they made Two Eyes climb, and she did, and she picked a golden apple, because the tree belonged to her. Mother took away the apple, and from that day forward they treated Two Eyes even more awfully than before. Until one day a knight rode up to the yard. Three Eyes and One Eye hid Two Eyes under a barrel. "Creep under this, and don't disgrace us," they said. Two Eyes was pushed under the barrel with the golden apples which she had been gathering. When the knight came near, he was a handsome lord, who stopped and admired the magnificent gold and silver tree, and said to the 2 sisters, "To whom does this fine tree belong? Anyone who would bestow one branch of it on me might in return for it ask whatsoever he desired." The sister tried to get a branch for the knight, but of course could not. "It is very strange that the tree should belong to you, and that you should still not be able to break a piece off." They again asserted that the tree was their property. While they were saying so, Two Eyes rolled out a couple of golden apples from under the barrel to the feet of the knight. When the knight saw the apples he was astonished, and asked where they came from. One Eye and Three Eyes answered that they had another sister, who was not allowed to show herself, for she had only 2 eyes like any common person. The knight, however, decided to see her, and cried, "Two Eyes, come forth." Then Two Eyes, quite comforted, came from beneath the barrel, and the knight was surprised at her great beauty, and said, "Thou, Two Eyes, canst certainly break off a branch from the tree for me." "Yes," replied Two Eyes. "That I certainly shall be able to, for the tree belongs to me." And she climbed up, and with the greatest ease broke off a branch with beautiful silver leaves and golden fruit, and gave it to the knight. Then the knight said, "Two Eyes, what shall I give thee for it?" "Alas," answered Two Eyes, "I suffer from hunger and thirst, grief and want, from early morning till late night. If you would take me with you, and deliver me from these things, I should be happy." So the knight lifted Two Eyes onto his horse, and took her home with him to his father's castle, and there he gave her beautiful clothes and meat and drink to her heart's content. And as he loved her so much, he married her, and the wedding was solemnized with great rejoicing. Two Eyes lived a long time in happiness. Once two poor women came to her in her castle and begged for alms. She looked in their faces and recognized her sisters, who had fallen into such poverty that they had to wander about and beg their bread from door to door. Two Eyes, however, made them welcome and was kind to them, and took care of them, so that they both with their hearts repented the evil that they had done their sister in their youth.